Hello there, and welcome to Let's Just Talk with Hammi. Tonight we have a special segment for you. This is not our regular show where we have two faculties in conversation with one another. No, this is much more special. This is our Friday night live segment. We have some amazing performances for you in a minute. We are joined by Rafael Escoto, a first year at St. Lawrence University, and the amazing Hannah Bushara. Stay tuned and hold on to your chairs.
The water once consumed me, let it drown me in its tides. Didn't realize it was keeping me alive. I thought the sun was out to burn me, thought myself to be discerning. So I sat down in the shade for quite some time. I never let it shine through. Never told myself to shine through. These unreconcilable truths, I hid them dormant underneath myself. But these things, they are a part of me. They've etched and molded my anatomy. This is my life, it took some time to see. So it's time I stay afloat and let that sunshine show. 'Cause struggle is a seed, so plant it, I won't just let it be. I can't sit, so bury me in soil. Let it be my blanket, let it help me grow. Let it keep me grounded. Oh. Once my feet were full of blisters, so I put aside my shoes, and I felt the earth that weave between my toes. I thought maybe if I didn't have these marks, I wouldn't know to love the way I move my feet. When these blisters didn't show, they didn't shine through. Never told myself to shine through. These unreconcilable truths, I hid them dormant underneath myself. But these things, they are a part of me. They've etched and molded my anatomy. This is my life, it took some time to see. So it's time I stay afloat and let that sunshine show. 'Cause struggle is a seed, so plant it, I won't just let it be. I can't sit, so bury me in soil. Let it be my blanket, let it help me grow. Let it keep me grounded. Oh. So let sorrow know that she's welcome, 'cause the rain's gotta come somehow. So let sorrow know that sorrow know that she's welcome. 'Cause the rain's gotta come somehow. 'Cause struggle is a seed, so plant it. I won't just let it be. I can't sit, so bury me in soil. Let it be my blanket, let it help me grow. Let it keep me grounded, it is a seed, so plant it. I won't just let it be. I can't sit, so bury me in soil. Let it be my blanket, let it help me grow. Let it keep me grounded, grounded enough for me to know where I came from. Open enough so I've got somewhere to go. Whoa. So let sorrow know that she's welcome. 'Cause the rain's gotta come somehow. Let it flow, let me know, let it be known that struggle is a seed. Yeah.
You've already met Hannah Bishara because she just performed her amazing song. Now we have Barry Torres. He is the director of music ensembles on campus, and he is best known as a vocal person on campus, directing the Laurentian Singers and the University Chorus, and teaching private lessons on the side in the music department. He's also the co-founder and co-director of a community-based gospel choir with the chaplain, the Reverend Sean Whitehead. His specialty is early music, medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music? Baroque music, yes, I said that right. And he directs and sings with a professional vocal ensembles devoted to this music, Schola Cantorum of Syracuse, which he founded in 1975. And he's been teaching at St. Lawrence since 1996. I was not born yet. There was no need to mention that. But today we're going to be talking about music and spirituality and love and all that fun stuff that make the soul what it is. And so to start off, Barry, you have the floor. Tell us your perspective on this issue, why you do what you do, and why you've been doing it for so long.
It's a long story. Back in high school, when I was a 15-year-old singing in my high school choir, we had a very special director. He was a remarkable musician, and he did really substantial music with us. That year we sang the Brahms Requiem, which is this 75-minute piece. It's a staple in the classical music repertoire, and it just changed my life. Requiems deal with the passing of humans to whatever comes after. We don't know what that is, but many of us know that something does come after. And at that point, I thought, as a 15-year-old, I was going to be a scientist. I was going to study biology and chemistry and all that kind of thing. And after that, I just knew that I had to be a musician.
Wow.
Because of how it centered my life, it centered my thought, and it made me connected. I felt connected to the universe,
Right.
in a very special way.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's how things started. I couldn't actually go study music because I didn't have the background. I actually went to Syracuse University, entered as a biochemistry major, and a year later I was in the music school.
Wow.
So,
It was a calling.
huh?
It was sort of a calling.
Yes, it definitely was, and it's been that way ever since. Have I made my living in music? No, not all the time.
Wow.
But it's always been central to what I do.
The artist dilemma.
Yes.
Can't pay the bills, but pays for the soul.
Well, if you do it right, it can pay for the bills too.
Right.
But
The lucky ones.
Yeah. But music plays a very important role in every religious tradition in the world. And there's good reason for that.
Right.
It brings together so many aspects of human thought into a very meaningful whole. Sometimes I like to explain it to people as music is mathematics and physics that feels good. Because there are mathematical and physical laws can be expressed by music in terms of time and in terms of sound frequencies and their relationships to each other.
Wow.
And when those relationships are simple and beautiful, the music is beautiful. And it touches the depths of our heart and the depths of our soul.
Right.
And it's a unifying aspect. And when people make music together, or when they come together to experience music, there is a unity and harmony that's palpable. You cut the atmosphere with a knife.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then Hannah, why do you make music? Why are you a creator?
I mean, just listening to Barry, you put a lot of things into what I think of music to be for myself, and I think that music is oftentimes what Barry just was for me, in that it allows you to have the vocabulary for something that you didn't have before. And I think of myself as a person who has a lot of feelings but not a lot of words. And music is something that has allowed me to speak up in a way that makes sense to me and is legible to other people. And I think a lot of people have a lot to say, but maybe words aren't the way that they express those things. And so tying together sounds and people in a collective space and being able to vocalize a feeling or a sentiment or a grievance in a way that is palpable to yourself and to others around you, I think it's the most profound thing. And I love music because it makes sense, but there's still so much mystery in it. And you don't know why it makes sense. But when you strike a certain chord, and Barry sometimes talks in Laurentian Singers about hitting the overtone series, and like everything is just perfectly locked in together, and you don't really know why. You can explain the science, but when you perform music and you're singing a song and you're reaching the depths of your heart and soul, it's so much bigger than the science or the rationale. And so I think music allows you to be grateful for the mystery of life, because in the mystery there is so much that is revealed to you. And that is something that has guided me through, guided me to where I am now since I was about 15 when I started writing songs.
15 and 15. 15
Oh,
is
yeah.
a magical number here. So I hear both of you talk about feelings and emotions, and for me, I feel like music, as someone who consumes it, is the only thing that fully explains the complexity of humans and human life. As in, like, I can wake up in the morning, start listening to Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke and Teddy Pendergrass and all these old, and like have this connection with the past and people who came before me, and I'm feeling bubbly inside. And then a couple of minutes later, I'm listening to Little Dirk, and I'm feeling sad because I'm feeling heard. Sometimes not even sad, just heard, because he is telling a story through his music that I can relate to. And then later on, I can be listening to more contemporary rappers like J. Cole. The mood completely changes, and I want to write. I want to be a poet, And let's not even talk about what drill music does for my soul, because that just, if you don't know what drill music is the rap that goes on today. That just turns me into a different kind of Hammi. The Hammi without the suit and the tie. And I don't know, the fact that it has such a profound impact on you, your emotions, how you're feeling your day to day, it's so meaningful and unexplainable, to the point where I don't know what to call it, and I just wanted you to speak to that feeling. Maybe that feeling is what kept you doing this for 50 years or more, right?
Sure, well, even longer. I mean, I've been making music since before I can remember. Was singing. Both my parents were musical, no, we both, all of us, are hitting on the mysterious, if you will, the unexplainable, the things that get beyond mere intellect to something I would call intelligence. And intelligence meaning a blending of both the head and the heart, mind and love. And music gets at this in a way that is not explainable in a intellectual way.
Right.
But gets to the heart of the matter so that you can experience the truth.
Right.
You can experience the love.
Right.
You can experience the life.
Right. And also like the healing powers of it. As in like whether it is the person making it or the person consuming it. One of my best friends, Foryou, like he's an artist and he's a guy that doesn't talk much, a man of very little words, but put him behind a booth, he becomes a parrot. You know, and he just keeps going. And that's his form of therapy. I don't come from a community where therapy is accessible or where it is a thing that we do like counseling. So the youth, they just buy into this and they just tell their stories. But I want to shift gears into asking the harder questions. What makes music music? Is it sound? What makes music for you? What is music?
I think of music, and this is not an original thought, but a thought that I agree with, in that music is some kind of organized sound where there are either one or two or 100 people together contributing to something that is connected, but maybe those people don't know, or those things don't know that there is a connection, but something about the universe is tying those vibrations or those sounds or those energies together to create this organized sound. So I think of music as in a conventional way, that you can have an orchestra playing on Gulick Theater stage and they're playing a piece that is obviously made for one another. But I also hear music when I'm walking in the student center and somebody's walking at a certain rhythm, and then I hear the blender coming from the pub, and then I hear somebody speaking and it sounds like they're rapping over that rhythm, and I'm like, that's music. And I think music isn't always that thing that you hear on the radio, but music sometimes is just a metaphor for what you're experiencing in your life, feeling vibrations and connections to things and people in an organized way that perhaps may not be organized in the way that we think of organization today.
There you go, Barry. I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit, because music does not necessarily have to be hooked to sound. Music can be a concept of being and being together. The Greeks had various kinds of concepts of music. And I keep on forgetting the Latin terms, well, not in Greek, but when Greek theory was later interpreted by medieval theorists about music, they had various levels of music. There was the music of the universe, the music of all of the bodies all of the celestial bodies moving in harmony with each other. But harmony is basic to it all. Harmony, moving together, moving in a unified thing. And harmony, in its most basic sense, we kind of experience as love. Love that's universal, love that is divine.
Right.
Some of the greatest composers have looked at music as from this point of view. The great American composer Charles Ives, New England guy, actually who did not make his living in music. He was an insurance person. He was actually the father of American insurance. Interesting guy. He would say, what does sound have to do with music anyway? There was a guy who sang in his church choir, who loved to sing, who had great spirit, great elan, tone deaf. But Charles Ives said, let that man sing. Because what he expresses through his spirit is far beyond what the actual sound is producing. So, yeah, there's that. Then there's a music that operates between people. And when we're talking about harmony and interactions and the sphere of the general thought in the human realm, there's a music of that. And the lowest music, the lowest form of music in terms of this kind of theory is the music of sound. Even though that the practice of that sound music is what inspires people to feel the other musics.
And so, another thing that I wanted to discuss real quick is, because you perform choirs and learn singers, is elitism and classism within the music. I don't want to say industry, because I don't know if composers is considered music industry. But like, for example, over my 4 years at St. Lawrence University, the groups that you lead, I only see them perform at super elitist, or should I say important events. And those events, contemporary music is not really welcomed. And the kind of music groups that you lead is something that I was only exposed to after coming around white people and coming to an elitist institution. And so, you know, like the communities that I come from, we're not really in tune with that. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but sure. I just want you to address it, because you're part of that world now, but you necessarily weren't until you got to St. Lawrence. And I don't know what that world looked like. So could you give us some insights? You know, you go to big venues and you perform with a lot of white people in suits, and who necessarily won't listen to rock music or music that is seen as, you know, low grade.
Yes.
Or for common people.
Yeah.
I mean, can I speak
Go.
to it?
Go right to
And
it.
I won't go into specifics, but just thinking on like a maybe theoretical or broad sense, I think a lot of it has to do with power. Power, the people who have the power to define and to exclude. Because I think, as Barry said, there are different kinds of musics and different levels of musics. And when you have somebody or a group of people who have the power to say, this is what something is and this is what something is not, then you're narrowing the possibilities of what music can be. Not to say that medieval or Renaissance music isn't as good as drill, but that they both are worthy of a welcome space. And oftentimes they're not given the latter, the music that you're empowered by.
Right. Like I just wanted to understand a little bit, get a little bit of glimpse or insight into that world, because it's a world that I'm not familiar with, you know.
Sure. And therein lies, well, I hate to put it as a problem, because it's not, but therein lies the crux of the matter, I'll put it that way. What your experience is, what your understanding is, and it's true that classical music, as what you're talking about, has been a music of the upper classes. It's been supported by the church, by political institutions, and this goes all the way back, all the way to even Greek times, but especially in the Renaissance and Baroque and classical periods, it's been supported by the upper class. And there's a high level of training that is involved in making that music because it is rather complex. And this is true not only in Western society, but also in Asian societies like South Asian music. Their classical music is also, they're seen as being connoisseurs, so to speak. But really, it's still all music.
Right, right.
And if we can get past, above our cultural limitations,
Right.
what we're used to, what we're, basically what we're used to
Right.
and what our experience is, we can, if it's good music, for me, a definition of good music is that it will speak to anyone from any
group,
from
anyway.
any circumstance.
And transcends time and culture.
Absolutely.
And so your song that you performed earlier, a line that stuck out to me was, "Struggle is a seed, so plant it, bury me in soil." I don't want to butcher your lyrics, but if you can give us a little bit of that, and then talk about what that means to you in terms of music being a struggle and a form of activism and political activism, a record of history itself, you know?
Yeah. There's a quote that I really like, which goes, "Where's the song before it is sung?" And a lot of time, music is just a record of the other levels of music that we experience all around us. And so I think music allows us to mark certain periods of time or certain things that we observe. And I think with seeds, I said, yeah, like you said, struggle is a seed, so plant it. I won't just let it be. I can't sit, so bury me in soil, let it be my blanket. And I think music allows me to tap into the depths of my heart.
Right.
In a similar way that pain often does, in that pain allows me to feel in ways that I don't feel when I'm euphoric or something. It's a different kind of feeling. And I think when I said that in the song, I was craving the desire to feel in the way that that pain had made me feel, and to let it inspire me to grow into something I didn't know I could grow into. And I think music does that, and I think believing in something or believing in a cause and feeling like you can contribute to that is similar to what music does. You have to believe that there is a song to be sung. It's just a question of locating it in yourself and around you.
And then Barry, in 2 minutes, how is music historical? How is music political? A form of activism? How is music educational? And spiritual?
In 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Let's do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Music can operate in every aspect of the human experience. Music can inform every aspect of the human experience.
Right.
And I think I just wanted to end it with Hannah talking because she really expressed it so eloquently in that when she talked about the pain, often pain is viewed as a very negative thing.
Right.
Not in music. It actually edifies, shows us where we can grow, shows us how we can help each other.
Right.
Music is music can be used for hey, I grew up in the 1960s. Okay, so all of that protest music was very deeply meaningful to me. Music played a central part in the struggle for civil rights.
Right.
Was actually central to slaves surviving from getting from one day to the next in abominable situations. So it's, on the other hand, it also leads to transcendence. It accompanies the highest of religious experiences. People don't like the word religious maybe I'll say spiritual experiences. It's central to that because because of the unifying and harmonizing effect that it has. So yeah, it's music was considered an essential part of education for everyone, from Greek times right up until the present. And it pains me when music programs get eliminated from schools.
Right. Music, for example, we talk about the Greeks, but on the African continent, it is a huge part of how we've maintained our oral traditions.
Absolutely.
And how we record our history and pass down information. And so, Hannah, Barry said he wanted to end it on your note. Is there any last things you want to say before we head out of here?
I mean, funnily enough, you're leaving the last words to me, but I'm going to take some words that Barry said to us in Laurentian's rehearsal a couple days ago. He paused in the middle of a song where we weren't crescendoing, where we weren't giving the song what it was asking for. And he said, if you give, the music will feed you in a way that you want to and need to be fed, but you have to give the song or the piece or the sound or life what it deserves, and you will receive. And I think in the context of rehearsal, it made a lot of sense, but in life too, in instances where you don't think that you have anything to give, there's always a little more that you can. And if you give, you will be fed. And music has fed me bountifully. And I don't know if I think I'd be malnourished if I didn't have music. So I'm grateful for the fact that in instances where I don't think I have anything left to give, music gives me something to give. And I have something to give music, and it feeds me every single time.
Ooh.
Amen.
That was a great note to end on. Thank you, both of you, for coming to our show. I would shake your hands, but coronavirus. Your elbows. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you guys for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel and to follow us on Instagram. We'll see you next Friday.